Well, it's an honor to introduce Kevin Foley today. Kevin actually started his stellar career at UCLA, where he graduated medical school and residency. And this is actually his chief resident picture. So, nice mustache, Kevin. Sorry about the picture. And after he finished UCLA, he actually joined the U.S. Army. And the reason why he joined the Army was his father told him, said, well, son, the Army is a great way to pay for your medical school education. And so that was certainly our country's gain, because when he was in the Army, he worked his way up and was actually ended up being promoted to lieutenant colonel, as well as the chair of the Department of Neurosurgery at Walter Reed, where he was able to train a number of residents. As you can see in the picture, he's actually getting his pin right there from his wife, Lynn Foley, as well as his father, Major General Thomas Foley, who was a military war hero, as well as a commanding general of Fort Knox. Kevin also received a number of awards and honors in the military, including the Army Commendation Medal, the Meritorious Service Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, the Order of Military Medical Merit, and the Surgeon General's Physician Recognition Award. And if he even had just stopped his career right then, that would have been a great career for most people. But thankfully for us, he went on to establish a legacy in neurosurgery. And the words that I think about would include vision, creativity, mentorship, and my personal favorite, modesty. This video is taken from the early 1990s. And for many of the spine surgeons who've been around know that spinal navigation was not really something that many people did. But Kevin had the vision that this would one day be a very important part of what we do. And he spent hours and hours and hours developing this technique, both in the lab and in patients, to give us what we have now, spinal image guidance, which many people consider to be standard of care for a lot of procedures. His creativity can also be seen in MIS. You know, he's really known as the forefather of MIS spine surgery. He's taken us from large open incisions to small incisions through tubular retractors for the benefits of our patients. He's taken us from bench to bedside and from patents to products. He has over 180 patents. He's not a scientist, he's a neurosurgeon. 180 patents that have been translated to over 50 products and devices that many of us use every day to benefit our patients. He's also known for his mentorship. Our program, UCLA Neurosurgery, in the 80s and 90s, like many of the programs out here, was very focused on cranial neurosurgery. Kevin was the first of a line of academic spine surgeons that were trained during that time period. He was followed by Pat Johnson in 1993, who was actually his first fellow. Then Rusty Rhodes, who him and I worked together in Keith Black's brain tumor lab when I was a med student, and he was a resident. That just shows you how focused we were on cranial. And then me afterwards, a few years later. And all of us looked up to Kevin as a mentor, as a trailblazer, and as a friend. And I had the absolute blessing of being his fellow 22 years ago, and I moved my family out to Memphis in 2002 to spend a year with him. And it was a great time because it was really kind of the beginnings of MIS surgery. And it was great just to see him and the way he thought and all the great ideas he had. And I learned so much from him in the OR. But to be honest, I probably learned more outside of the OR from him. How to take care of patients, how to carry yourself as a professional, how to have a great work ethic, and also how to prioritize your family. And speaking of his family, he has a phenomenal family. He's been married to his wife, Lynn, for 47 years. She is a practicing dermatologist in her own right with a great practice. They have 3 children and 3 grandchildren. So we can also now call him Grandpa Foley. So Kevin, can you come on out to receive your award?
Well, good morning, everyone, and I'd like to thank the section for this very great recognition. I'm honored, and also thank Wang for such a nice introduction. So I was going to show you my disclosures, and then show you something that popped up on LinkedIn last week. So I was going to give a speech of thanks, much like John Dymar did. And then the thing that popped up on LinkedIn basically said, Dr. Foley's going to share with you, quote unquote, mind-blowing insights. So I thought, well, I'll talk to you. I'll give you some advice this morning, some thoughts. I'm not sure these are going to be mind-blowing. So like many of you in the audience, my job during the day, any luck on? They're working on it. My day job is I'm a spine surgeon. I still operate several days a week, see clinic. I'm the chair at Sims Murphy. I'm a professor at the university, and I still stay academically active. My passion is coming up with new, hopefully better ways to treat people and tools to allow you to do that. And in doing so, I've found that I've been able to touch many more lives than I ever could have with my own two hands. And so some of the things I've learned over the years is that innovation is an extension of basic problem solving. And as surgeons, we solve problems every day, right? Whether we're in the OR, whether we're in the clinic, we have to in order to function. And so we can take those problem-solving skills and absolutely use them, apply them for innovation. It's important to understand some of the rules that surround the intellectual property system in the U.S. It's important to understand some basic business principles, but your training and your mindset already gear you to innovate. And so when I talk about problem-solving, Lang showed some of the early navigation work. So I was looking for a way to see things that I couldn't see. We take a lot of this for granted now, but back in the day, we couldn't do that. And ways to minimally invasively decompress the spine and ways to try to fixate the spine. There really wasn't a good way to do this when I approached this problem, and ways to minimally invasive fuse the spine. And of course, there have been so many advancements of this in the hands of many, many, many of you in the audience and people who aren't here, which is an example of surgeons innovating to make patients' lives better. So how do you do this? Well, look at what you're already doing. Many of you are already doing innovative things. You're doing novel things that could be pursued. You want to look at solutions for problems, as I just mentioned, and you want to look at things that haven't changed in many years. If things haven't changed in many years, if they're still being done the same way they were done a couple of decades ago, there's probably a better way to do those things. So you can patent a method, you can patent an apparatus, you can patent any improvement of those things. And there are some rules. It's got to be what's called a novel idea, a novel over the prior art. It's got to be non-obvious, your idea. And it's got to be reducible to practice. There has to be practical utility there. These are the steps you follow if you want to get a patent, and you will need to involve a patent attorney to travel the course of this and try to be successful. But there is a way, a relatively simple way, if you've got a good idea, to protect it very easily and very inexpensively. You can find the application for a provisional patent application on the uspto.gov website. So in summary, I believe that innovation helps the field of spine surgery advance, and I believe it definitely improves patient care. As practicing spine surgeons, you have the opportunity to innovate because of your skill set and because of your firsthand experience. You know what works and you know what could be done better. And learn, finally, how to protect your ideas. Learn something about our intellectual property system here in the U.S. Thank you very much.